Canadian Bulldog from Wrestling Merchandise and Memories, that's merchandiseandmemories.com. And this past week, I decided on a whim to attend SummerSlam from Cleveland, Ohio. I picked up a relatively cheap ticket from the nosebleed section at the last minute and then pretty much hit the open road. Here are some of my observations from my travels to and from the event. Just before we get started, wanted to let you know that Wrestling Merchandise and Memories has more than 100 unique and conversation-starting top 50 lists on its site. Check it out at bit.ly/top 50 lists. The first thing to note is that the drive from Toronto to Cleveland isn't exactly a brief one. In theory, it was almost 5 hours from door to door, and I figured if I left early enough on the Saturday morning, it wouldn't be a huge issue to get there in plenty of time for the 7 p.m. bell time. However, trouble was ahead. The problems began at the Canadian-US border. It normally takes me 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes tops to cross from Niagara Falls, Ontario into Niagara Falls, New York. But on this morning, it was closer to 90 minutes. Traffic was at a standstill as I wondered out loud whether everyone here at the border was also driving to SummerSlam.
All right, this is it.
After I crossed the border, picked up a quick lunch in Pennsylvania, and kept driving all the way through Ohio. Things were looking up until I reached Cleveland Browns Stadium. I noticed dozens and dozens of fans walking to the arena, but the road from the highway had been closed off by the police. I could literally see the posters of SummerSlam as I passed by the arena, but traffic was at an absolute standstill. My GPS kept telling me I was just 2 minutes away from my destination, but it was more like 2 hours. Literally, that's how long it took to break away from the Cleveland traffic, taking a new path to the arena, and then finally being able to find parking. After I parked and wondered for the 5th time that day why I didn't just watch the damn PLE from home, I took the short walk to the stadium and got there just in time to watch Wade Barrett and Big E wrap up their portion of the pre-show. Now, I've been to a lot of big arena shows and dozens of pay-per-views in my day. In the last 2 years alone, I've been to SummerSlam 2023 in Detroit, plus Forbidden Door and Money in the Bank in Toronto. But this event in Cleveland just felt bigger, way bigger. It had the electric feel of a huge rock concert, apropos perhaps for being down the road from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I didn't have the best seats in the world, but the crowd was extremely vocal. I won't go into the SummerSlam results here. You've likely already seen them online, but here are a few highlights. Dominic Mysterio making out with Liv Morgan got a huge pop from the Cleveland crowd. Hey, move your hand. I can't see anything, buddy. Move your hand. Thank you. LA Knight winning his first title in WWE also got a massive reaction. However, it was at that point that I realized I needed to find better seats if I was going to enjoy the rest of the show. After grabbing a quick beverage and missing part of the Bayley-Nia Jax match, I was able to find a place to stay on the 100 level just in time to see Drew McIntyre enter the ring for his much anticipated match against CM Punk. By the way, this was by far my favorite match on the show. After the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match, I was forced to vacate my seat by some jerk who claimed I was sitting in his seat. The nerve. But the good news is I was able to find an even better location to watch Gunther take on Damian Priest. After yet another change of venue, I settled in for the main event between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. And while it was standing room only for the return of Roman Reigns, I didn't mind one bit. Look at the reaction of this audience. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Hey, get out of my shot! Shockingly, I was able to make it out of the arena and to my car while Cody Rhodes' theme song was still playing. Following the event, I drove to nearby Erie, Pennsylvania, where I spent the night, and in the morning I discovered a place called Action Toy Man, which had just a crazy selection of vintage wrestling figures. Would highly, highly recommend you check it out. Between Action Toy Man and the various Walmarts and Targets along the way, finding goodies that I can't quite get in Canada, I ended up with probably more wrestling figures than I've picked up in a trip in a long, long time. Overall, this was a fun little road trip and honestly, one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in several years, so it was definitely worth doing. For Wrestling Merchandise and Memories, I'm Canadian Bulldog.